All right. I'm just going to call the meeting to order now. It is 6:07 p.m. On November 20th, Thursday. I'll call the meeting of the Board of Education, Groton Board of Education Policy Committee to order. Um, Present are Assistant Superintendent Anne Marie Mancini, um, Rebecca Goldberg, Denise Doolittle, Sean Corcoran, Andrea Ackerman, and Ian Thomas. Um, Anybody else in attendees? Nope. Okay. All right, first order of business is the review of the minutes. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from September 9th.
I'll I'll second that.
Well, I need someone to make the motion
Oh,
first.
I'll make the motion.
All right. Do we have a second?
I guess I'll second it, even though I can't see, so I didn't read them.
Okay. All right, so moved by Corcoran and seconded by Ackerman. And any comments, discussion?
They look good to me.
Yep, I have nothing. All right, so all in favor of accepting the minutes from September 9th?
All right.
All right, all right, unanimous. Next, we'll take a look at 6146 graduation requirements. So to put it on the floor, I'll entertain a motion to accept the alterations.
Yeah.
Are you gonna put it up, Ian?
Yes, working on that now. Just going to convert it to Word real quick.
Make sure you enlarge it.
Yes.
I should be able to see in a couple of days.
That'll be good.
We'll
All
watch
right.
the recording.
I'm going to go off camera because I have to share my screen in order to do this, and I'm going to have limited control here.
Should we all do that?
It's up to you. I mean, I'm not sure how it looks on the home screen, but there we go. Can everyone see the document?
Yes.
A little more.
Or Zoom?
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So, I'll entertain a motion. Did someone move that?
I'll move it.
All right, moved by Corcoran. I'll second it. All right, so who would like to give the background on this?
I will.
Is that Dr. Mancini?
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, so just a little background on this. I want to say last spring, there was a discussion about revising the graduation requirements for the districts. And that just applies to Fitch High School, considering we only have one high school. And the first step with that was really going to first the leadership at Fitch, doing some background information on, what, if anything, is causing students to struggle with the graduation requirements, getting that information, and then working with the leadership team to think about some revisions that we think would be important. Then additionally, I looked at several different policies, including the model policy from CABE, to make sure that we had all of the important updates based on. So I want to say back in October, I brought the policy, well, actually not the policy, I brought the recommendation of the reduction to the graduation requirements to first the curriculum committee for the board. We discussed them at length. I made two specific recommendations because right now, the graduation requirements that we have for the district, there are 27 credits. The State Board of Education only requires 25. After doing a careful analysis with the leadership team at Fitch, we recognize that the additional credits come in two areas. Number one, in world language, we have an extra world language requirement that is not, again, required by the State Department of Ed. And we also have one additional elective that is required. And so made that recommendation to the curriculum committee of the Board of Education. They were in favor or supported those recommendations. And the next step was to bring it here because it, of course, is a policy that are policy implications for those changes. In addition to obviously the credit changes, there were things related in the policy that needed to be updated. And the first one is right here in this first paragraph. Up until the last couple of years, boards of education could not adopt or I would say not adopt, but state what the graduation day was. There were very specific legislation around when a board of education could say when the graduation was, and it was always after April the 1st. That is no longer the case. A superintendent and the board of education can actually name or identify the graduation date as long as it's after, once the district calendar has been published, as long as it's after or on the 180th school day or after. And so I eliminated that language from paragraph 1. Would you mind scrolling down, Mr. Thomas?
Sure.
Unless anyone has questions about that first part.
Yeah, I was sorry, I was muted there for a second. I was just going to ask if anyone had
Sure.
any questions about the first paragraph.
No, I think the first paragraph is good. My questions are about the number of credits. We'll get into that.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, I have no concerns with the first paragraph either.
Me too.
Okay. You'll see here there are some revisions that are made because you no longer need to worry about the class of 23, 24, and 25. All these, class of 25 is graduating this year. So any revisions to the policy would not impact these particular graduation classes.
Okay.
Moving down. All right, so the class of 2026.
Class of 2026, this remains the same. We are not looking to make any changes for any of the classes that are at the high school, with the first class would be the current freshman, which I believe is the class of 2029.
Okay.
So you can actually scroll several pages.
Yeah, I just have a question, Emery, real quick.
Sure.
I see, I looked up online earlier today and it's 25 credits to graduate. Why is ours set at 27?
So, Sean, I don't have the historical knowledge on that. It happened before I got here, but from what I understand in doing some research, the additional world language credit was put, I don't know about the additional elective. I'm not sure why that was put in place. So we have one extra elective. Again, I'm not really sure why that was added. The one additional world language credit was because there was a misunderstanding. The thought was, by whoever created the graduation credits, was that if you are an IB school, students have to take additional credits in world language. That is not actually the case. I did research on that. Well, I kind of knew it, but I wanted to confirm that. I went ahead and confirmed it with after doing some additional research. The IB World Organization does not care. They don't get into credits. They care, of course, how many hours students take world language, what kind of language they take. They want the kids to take language they call language A, which is their native language. And in this case, it would be English. In most cases, they want the kids to take a world language, of course, if they are in the IB program. But they don't get into how many credits students take in anything, to be honest with you. because it's a world organization. That system does not translate in other countries.
And if I could just jump in on that, I think this was in the pipeline when I first came on the board about 2 years ago. It was approved around about that time. I think shortly before. Um, but yeah, so there was a lot of discussion about that. And there was concerns raised at the time, but it was sort of a done deal, the way it was presented to us.
So
Um,
we could not, if we wanted to, we could not go back and change anything prior to 2029.
Yeah, and the reason for that, Sean, that's a good question because we thought a little bit about that, but the reason, and that was brought up by the board subcommittee, I mean the board curriculum committee as well. But in looking at that, looked at that, of course, with the Fitch leadership team, but we were concerned that any other grade levels, like the 10th grade on, those students are already in their program of study, and then it would kind of negatively impact what they're doing.
Okay. I agree with changing it back in 2025. I don't think we should make it any harder to graduate for students than it already is.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have the memo as a part of this, but you can see in the memo that I created, I actually listed how many students typically receive failing grades in the advanced level, Spanish and French courses that we offer, and how one thing that we talked about is that students in particular with special needs tend to really struggle with world language, and so I really feel like, the graduation rate that we have right now, we're not meeting our ESSA milestone. Our ESSA milestone right now is 91%. Last year, or in 2023-24, Fitch's graduation rate was just under 89%. And so we're hoping that a reduction like this modification will help, especially those students that have special needs or struggle to really meet that graduation requirement more successfully.
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah, I just think I understand why it's confusing for students if they are not on if there's different graduation requirements per year. So
Yeah, that's something that's typical. Doesn't always happen in a lot of high schools, but whenever a high school makes a change, it doesn't always apply to all four grade levels. Just for the same reason I had already mentioned that, there are kids that are already in their program of study, and those adjustments would kind of really alter what they're doing.
okay.
so the class of 2029 that's the class that's
That's
entering
that's our current freshman.
this current freshman. Got it. So
Current
there's
freshman.
plenty of time to adjust
Yep.
in year
And
one.
so here, the graduation credits or requirements are essentially the same with two adjustments. As I mentioned, the first one would be reducing the world language credit from 2 credits to 1, and then reducing the number of electives from 4 to 3.
I like it.
Mhm.
I do too.
So it doesn't have any implication or negative impact on any of the major categories. Of course, not on English, not on like the STEM. None of those big broad categories.
Mhm. Quick question. Is there still the college requirement for students to have like 3 years of a foreign language instruction?
So colleges don't require that. What they say is if you want to go to college, colleges look favorably if you have more than 1 year of world language. And they say 3 is ideal. And
Mm.
this change does not prevent students in any way from taking more than one world language credit. We know that those kids that want to go to a college and or a university study there, those kids are going to take multiple years of world language. But this really does help those students with special needs. I think Denise, she's on this call. She's not really, this is not her policy, but I'm sure she can weigh in and talk about students with special needs and how they do tend to really struggle with the world language requirement. Denise, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about that based on your background in special education?
Just to, you don't have to say that, they don't have to do that for me, for my account. I'm sold on the deal.
Okay.
I was just asking out of curiosity more than anything else, because that was when I was going into college way back when, there was a lot of attention paid to foreign language, and I know that I had taken 3 years in high school, the high school I went to, so I didn't have to take a foreign language in college, but some people that I did go to college with at the time had to take a year or so of a foreign language to clear out a requirement.
Yeah, and I think that varies, Ian, depending upon the school. I know for me, of course, I also took more than multiple years of world language. Um, I went to UConn. UConn did not require a world language. If you, of course, if you wanted to take a world language, you could. I have two daughters in college right now. Neither one of them were. It's not a requirement at their schools. I think it really varies depending upon the school
All right,
Yeah,
so it was,
and
and the
the
major.
school and even the major that you're pursuing.
Right.
yeah. Well, and it was quite some time ago that I was doing that, so things have
I
changed.
hear you. I hear you
Mm.
on that.
All right. Yeah, I don't. Is it imperative to, or do we need to go into that? Not to cut you off, Denise, but I do want to be mindful of the time as well.
Mhm.
No,
Oh
that,
yeah, no.
yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you, Ian, but I do agree with Anne Marie.
Okay, very well. So this is the major change here, if I understand correctly.
Those are the major changes. Yeah. Otherwise, there's maybe like some language change, like a word here and there,
Yeah,
just to clean up to clean up the document. But that is the major change right there.
and this is pretty much as it came from the curriculum committee.
Yes.
All right. Is there any more discussion? All right. If nothing further, then I'll call for a vote, and all in favor of accepting the changes as proposed?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. None opposed, none abstaining, unanimous in favor. All right. I'm going to stop the share and pull up the next. Let's see here. 5113 attendance is the next one up.
That is me as well.
All right.
All right, so a little background on this. Per the request of Chairman Washington back in, I want to say June, just after school dismissed last year in 2025, she asked me to really look at the policy that we have currently for attendance. That policy has not been updated since 2018. As you probably are aware, last year, in the last couple of years, since COVID-19, our students have struggled to get to school. Our chronic rate of chronic absenteeism is very high here in Groton. Last year it was 20.1%, I believe, which is far too high. We know that if students are not in school, they can't learn. And so I assembled a team of administrators from each school to review our existing attendance policy. When we completed a draft of this policy, we shared it with the GEA membership. They provided us with some feedback. As part of this work, we also looked at not only the policy, we updated the regulations and our tiered interventions. And so we've done a lot of work on this. In researching the policy, we looked at the existing policies from other districts, including Vernon, Glastonbury, East Lyme, Old Lyme, Westport, many districts, especially those districts that had just recently updated their policy. And so I want to highlight a couple of changes here with the policy. So right now, I really believe that what we've done is more reflective of a policy. Our last policy really read like a regulation. And so we wanted to be more reflective of the policy. It defines clearly what it means to be in attendance during a school day. It includes required language about mental health days. The state adopted those several years ago, and our policy did not include that. It also includes required language for children of service members. That was adopted a couple of years ago, and our policy did not include that either. It shares that schools will reach out to parents when students are absent and have not been notified. The fact that so much of the, I guess, ownership was on the families and not on the schools, we really want to make that more of a kind of like a dual relationship. It outlines the responsibility of the student to secure and complete missing work. and it includes information on dismissal of students for reasons related to safety and security, which we know these days, unfortunately, is so important to make sure that we have the right people picking up our students and our students will always be safe. And so that is what I want to share about this policy. I believe Dr. Ackerman has had her eyes on this at one point. When it was at one point, it was in front of the full board, and Dr. Ackerman wanted to do some look at it and clean it up a little bit. I believe that she did have the opportunity to do that, and I appreciate that, Dr. Ackerman. And so here it is.
Looks really good. From what I can see.
Well, you don't forget you did look at it at one point.
Yes, I
and
did.
work
Yes,
to improve it.
All right,
And correct me if
so
I'm wrong, sorry, the
I was
mental
just
health
gonna
days.
say, to open up discussion, let's have a motion and a second.
I'll put forward a motion.
You'll move to pass 5113 as
As written.
so this is our second read, if my counts right, or did it? I forget where we. Oh, well, let me. I'll second it anyway, just for
So
formality's sake. And now, yeah, okay. Question was, is this our second read?
I believe it is because it went to the full board. So does it go to the board after it had a first read?
It usually does, yeah. That so if it
So it
got
must be our second.
yeah, and then yeah, so this is our second read. Okay. I remember a lot of discussion on the board about this, and it looks like a lot of the issues have been cleaned up.
Quick question. The mental health days, that's something by the state. I think I remember you talking about that at the previous meeting.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
state several years
Two.
ago, I think it was after, may have been
After
it
COVID.
was after COVID, the state required that students be given 2 mental health days. I remember Dr. Ackerman had a lot of questions about this, or some questions about this, but students are granted mental health days 2 during the year that they can take for any reason, well, for reasons of mental health, but we're not supposed to ask any questions about this. I can tell you in my house, that was not something that I shared widely with my daughters, but but they are available, for those students that feel like they need it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and there's a state requirement to have it in there, so we can't cut it out.
No,
We have
we
to have
cannot cut it out. It's legislation.
Yep. So
All I can say is please.
well, and like I said in the meeting, I now the conversation is coming back to me more like, yeah, I think this is sort of just formalizes what's been informal practice in some households for years.
Sure. Sure. I understand that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that it's not legitimate. I mean, we know that some students really struggle with mental health, and so I want to recognize that. I don't want to say that it's not legitimate. Some students really do have some struggles that they are dealing with, and so
Yeah.
I guess
That's
it's
different.
appropriate for those. Yes.
Yeah, that's different.
Well, and there's also just a matter of fact of the there's a lot of pacing. There's a lot going on in high school. With all the extracurriculars, and it's amazing. Like life actually, the academic pace slows down in college for students, and I
Yeah.
think
Oh, for
and
sure.
it's been an awakening for my son at least. Like he's been able to manage the class load a lot better in college, and high school was a challenge at times. But so to that end, I can totally understand. And like I said, back in my day, it wasn't formal, but it was just every now and then you need a break. Take a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's between you and your parents, right?
Right. All right. So any areas of critique in the language? Knowing that Dr. Ackerman has had her time with this document, I'm confident moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion? All right.
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of passing 5113 as proposed? Say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right. And I heard it's a unanimous vote. I heard 3 ayes, so there's no opposition, no abstentions. So 5113 passes as a second read, and we'll pass it back to the board. Just quick bit of housekeeping before we move on. The 6164 that we just did, was that a first read?
That was a first read,
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
and I believe it's is 6146.
6146. Sorry, I got my numbers transposed. Got it. Thank you. All right. Next up, what do we got here? 6141, curriculum design and development.
That's
And is this
also me. My office is working hard, working hard. So, this is something that I had worked on during the summer. We have a curriculum design process. It actually went to the curriculum committee first, similar to our graduation requirements. This is something I had to review with them. We have a curriculum handbook, and in that handbook, there is a process for curriculum design and development. Um, excuse me. The current process, if, for example, the high school wants to propose a new course, they have to, there's a whole process they go through. The process right now takes, I think, 18 months. And so essentially, if I'm a teacher, for example, I taught English, I want to propose a new English course, I need to know 2 years in advance before that course is offered. And, um, and that's okay. I understand why that was put in place. I think that's to kind of gatekeep and make sure that, people, the schools, the high school specifically, isn't just creating courses like crazy and there's no quality control. But in this case, it also really hampers or slows down in some cases when there is a new course that's needed, or for example, maybe the State Department of Ed mandates a new course like the personal finance course, or a couple of years ago they mandated a new social studies course, the African American and Latino studies course. This actually would help that speed up that process so that those courses can get in place a little quicker. Now, if you could scroll down a little bit for me, Ian,
sure?
what you'll see is that we've made the revision here. So the first step is that when the high school or the middle school has a new course, they present it to the superintendent or to me for approval. That has been happening. Then it goes to the board curriculum committee for review and recommendation. That also has been happening. The next step is that in the past, it was recommended that it go to the committee of the whole. Now, we made a revision here because in the past, from what I understand, the committee of the whole did vote to approve or not approve items. The committee of the whole no longer votes to approve items. And so I made the revision here, although I'm happy if people are not happy with this change, I'm happy to move it back to committee of the whole. But since the committee of the whole is not supposed to be a voting meeting, I changed it to full board. That made more sense to me. That would be the third step. Then upon approval, curriculum is written. The next step was that once the curriculum was written, it went back to the curriculum subcommittee for review and then to the full board for a final approval. My feeling with this, and I've worked with the board curriculum committee on this, is because the board curriculum committee had already reviewed the proposal and would see it as a full board as a part of the approval process, I was hoping to eliminate step 5 from the process. This would also save not a ton of time as a part of the process, but a few months. And it would probably bring the process from 18 months to approximately a year, allowing teachers who came to me, for example, this spring, to have all of next year to go through the process and then be able to offer the course the following year rather than 2 years out.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So
Good
that
explanation.
Say again?
I said, good explanation.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll just make the motion this time, I guess. I'll move that we accept 6141 as proposed.
I'll
Can I
second.
just say, can I just say something before that again? And that
Oh,
is,
yeah.
I heard this over and over and over again. And I even remember Rita saying that this has already gone to the curriculum committee. Why are we doing this? Why are we wasting time with this when we could just look at it and vote on it? And I think, I am in total agreement with her and with what we're discussing now. So I just wanted to give a little history with that.
Got it. Got it. Yep. No, I was just doing the motion in the second to make it to officially shift into discussion, out of background into discussion. Um, but I definitely I thank you for the comments, and it's good to have that historical perspective. Looking at this, to me, it looks fine as well because the board does get two looks at the document in one form or another. And really, if there's any profound concerns, there is a vote for final approval on the final draft in step 6, which would then become, if this is approved, then that would become step 5, correct? Um, so, so the board gets two looks at policies. The board gets, so I think the board getting two looks at the curriculum is good as well. And I can appreciate, the committee of the whole does not have the power of a vote. Um, that only happens in regular meetings, so that's a good change in number 3. Um, that just kind of hastens the process. Mr. Corcoran, do you have anything?
No, I think it makes complete sense.
All right. Any other further discussion?
No.
All right. And that's the only change, correct? We're already in legal reference, so that's the end of the document.
That's the end of the
Um,
document.
All right. So hearing no other discussion, call for a vote. All in favor of passing 6141 as a first read?
Aye.
Say aye. Aye.
I, I,
All right. I hear 3 ayes. That's a unanimous vote. So there's no abstentions, none opposed. 6141 passes as a first read. Next up, let's see. Oops. That would be 6131 and 3273 generative AI. Pull that up here. While I'm pulling it up, who's giving the background on that? Who wants?
That'd be Dr. Kennedy.
All right.
I can certainly try. Forgive me. I was not in attendance at the last formal action that took place on this policy at a full board meeting that was then returned to the policy committee. I do have a lot of background this all the way to February of 25 when we first put this out there in the committee. But my understanding is there was some concern about the piece of the committee that this policy would direct the superintendent to create, who would be assigning members of that committee, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously there's other modifications you'll see in red as Ian scrolls up and down here. Is that fair to launch, Ian?
Yeah, it sounds about a good synopsis of the situation. We've seen this one before a few times, and that was an area of contention as far as the construction of the committee.
And if I may be so bold, forgive me. My main concern is getting this moving in that we were hoping initially to have this ready over the summer so that I could take action upon this and work. And we're in a bit of a holding pattern as of right now.
Yeah. All right. So that being the case, I'll entertain a motion to accept. Sorry, what was the number on this one?
16. or 6131 dash dot 23273 slash
2373.
yeah slash, and then there's a slash 4118.53. There's
Great.
a lot of numbers on this one.
All right, so it looks like we made a lot of the housekeeping change. Oh, sorry. Dr. Ackman, would you second that?
A second, yes.
All right, very well then. Moved in by Corcoran, second by Ackman. And this would be, let's see, is this we passed it as a first read when it first went up to the board, but the board did not accept it. Is that correct? If my memory serves.
That is my understanding. Anne Marie, check me, please.
So it,
Yes, that's what my memory, that's
all
what I
right.
have in my memory as well.
As of right now, it has not received a favorable vote from the board to move into official second read territory. It's our second look at it, but we're still in the first read level.
Yeah,
Just a
I think
little,
it was me who voted no, I think, anyway, because I don't think we should be telling the superintendent what kind of a committee should be put together. And I see that's crossed out.
right. It got after much discussion, it got shifted into a request, not a
Yeah.
mandate. Which I was the one that I definitely was. Well, I wasn't the only one, but I was one of the members who was in favor of the more assertive language, um, only because yeah, I just want something this complex. I think we need a lot of input on, and I want to make sure that there is going to be a committee that is dedicated to this.
Did that get put into the regulations?
It did get put into the regulations.
Yeah, that's where it belongs.
Uh, Sean, do you have
Mike,
anything to add? Any thoughts?
I'm okay with the way it's written now.
Yeah.
yeah, I am. If I mean I know Clint's not on this committee, but it really is, affecting his everything he does.
Well, the truth of the matter is, this policy I imagine is going to be a frequent flyer because of
Yeah.
the adaptive nature of AI and how changeable it is. So, I'm fine with moving forward off of this aspect, just for the sake of just getting it out there, getting something in place because it's going to be revised over the years anyway. So if there becomes a situation where, you know, the board feels it has to be more assertive in its direction to the administration, there'll be opportunity to revise it. Clint, I see your hand.
Thank you, Ian. I appreciate it. Just a very brief comment. I would love to see this move forward as it exists now, number one. And number two, I couldn't agree with you more, Ian. If history serves and how we've seen this ramp since kind of the Chat GPT moment in 2022, I don't think I would be doing my job if I'm not regularly communicating with the policy committee and the overall Board of Education individually, but through a committee, because this is a massive issue and continues to evolve very rapidly. So thank you.
All right. That being said, do you want to take us through the rest of the changes? A lot of it seemed to be like housekeeping as far as shifting a lot of stuff to regulation, but I'll let you take the lead.
Yeah, I certainly am happy to answer any questions if there's any concerns about how things were moved or what was moved into regulations. I think the less is more as far as this goes right now, and I can support this. So I can walk you through, but I also think it'd be better if anybody has any questions. I can certainly try to answer those.
Just right off the bat, sorry to jump in again. So if I'm looking at this, the policy is all just in the first page.
Correct.
And so all that we're missing here is any legal references that we might need to add at the bottom.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before, and
Mhm.
it's a fair question. And I've asked it myself, and there are very few legal precedents that I think are appropriate there. We could certainly take another look at it if you feel, or the committee feels it's important to do so. But I think it speaks to the nature that this is very new.
Got it. I mean, just for formality's sake, I would feel comfortable if there was anything at all that we could remotely attach it to. Um, did we use anything as inspiration to craft it?
We did, and we one of the earlier versions we did kind of mention the CABE policy and CABE staff who were a critical component to this. But I believe as one of the motions of this committee, forgive me if I'm wrong, but was to remove that paragraph, which was kind of a thank you and I
Right.
don't want to say shout out, but
Got
Yeah,
it.
I
but
remember
yes,
that.
originally this was originally based very much so on the sample CABE policy and done in conjunction with CABE staff.
Okay.
We should write him a nice note.
I would be happy to do that.
All right. Um, yeah, well, if there's nothing legal, then again, like we'll probably have an opportunity. There will be something written the next time this comes through. I'm sure that we could tie in as a reference. Um, anything else from the other members?
No.
Clint, would you feel just do like maybe like a 3-minute overview of the regulation side of things? Is there, I mean, just a general gist of like how it's supposed to function?
So sure, I'll be short and sweet, but certainly welcome a conversation. So I would continue to see this evolve over time, kind of how what you're saying, Ian. Um, in my experience working with staff and students to date, one of the biggest issues is students asking really it's not that they're looking to cheat or get away with something. They're really asking for permission, and I think we owe it to them to give them permission as best we can, and we continue to do that. Seniors last year, for example, writing their college essays and so forth. What is permissible is from a generative AI perspective. Should it help them brainstorm? Should it help them write an outline? Should it write the whole thing and they edit it, et cetera, et cetera? We had many students asking really important questions around, what permission do I have and where are the boundaries and how I should be doing this? One, for following the rules, but two, also one of the conversations I have with teachers is where is the line so that we're continuing to have that cognitive load, we're continuing to have students work hard to learn, and ultimately be able to demonstrate that without these tools as a guiding hand. So I think this start to speak, the reason it's in elements for students and elements for teaching staff, the idea is can we start breaking down what that permission is and what that guidance is, and that should evolve over time as we have more experience with this, as this continues to evolve overall. So I think that really was the intent and the structure of that. Obviously, at the end, we have kind of the review process and a collaborative approach and the like, because again, I think it speaks to the fact that we need to be agile with this because it's changing so quickly, but we do need representation from all parties to help us really work through this and make sure that we're paying attention and doing right by our students, by our staff, et cetera.
All right. And here we are in the part of the regulations where it speaks to the committee, and it says the superintendent will establish, and it looks like it's going to be a subject specific committee. It's going to be it's not going to be sharing duties. So I say I'm happy to see that, and I look forward to seeing this evolve over time.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I have nothing else to add. Any other discussion?
No, I'm with Clint. I would like to see this. I'm sure all of us would like to see this move forward. So he can
Yeah.
do what he has to do.
Sean, you all set? Oh, you muted.
Sorry.
Um,
Oh, good.
Okay, very well then. Seeing no more discussion, I'll call for a vote on 6131 to pass. Let's see, let me get this right. I guess I'm just gonna say to pass as a first read to the board, so the board can vote on it as a first read.
All right.
Aye. All right. Three ayes, no opposed, no abstentions.
Ian, do you think we can, since Clint needs this done soon, do you think we could try to get this on the board meeting next Monday?
Yeah, we have a regular meeting coming up on,
On Monday.
yes.
Okay.
I believe so. They haven't produced the agenda yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen an agenda yet, so
Yeah.
okay.
And Friday would count. So I'll reach out to Bev.
Just from a mechanic standpoint, sorry to interrupt, Ian, is it considered a first reading because it was referred back to the policy committee?
That's my understanding is like we're not advancing it as a second read. We advanced it as a first read out of this body, but that got bounced back without
Gotcha.
approval. So in my mind, to my understanding, that we're still in the first read tier.
Got it.
Um, so hopefully it'll pass. We can get it on the board agenda for Monday, and then we could do it again in December.
Thank you.
How do we ensure that it gets on for Monday?
I'm going to call Bev as soon as we get done with this meeting.
Oh, great. Okay.
Thank you,
All
Ian.
right. And I'll just try to like actually everything that passed as a first read, get it on. So we just kind of move these things along. All right. Next up is where are we? Does someone have the agenda up in front of them?
Sexual harassment, I think, is the final one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 5145.5.
Yep. All right. So now this I asked to have put on the agenda. Um it's gonna be complicated, I think. But is there someone in attendance that's gonna give some background on it, or is that on me?
So I can share that we have attorney Rebecca Goldberg on the Zoom this evening. Attorney Goldberg works for Bircham Moses,
Mm-hmm.
and her colleague, who has since retired, Carolyn Dugas, are attorneys that specialize in sexual harassment, and they worked with the district to draft the policy back in 2024, January 2024. So we're very happy and pleased that Attorney Goldberg was able to make time this evening to join us. And we understand that there may be questions related to the policy that Attorney Goldberg is available to answer for the committee.
Understood. So I asked for this agenda to come on in response to some communications we received over the past month, 2 months, and actually it's a few months ago. But long story short, I just wanted to kind of get a sense. I didn't want to make any motions. There's no adjustments made, and there's nothing proposed in this agenda item right now. But I just wanted to kind of do a little bit of a strategized discussion as to like, I assume Attorney Goldberg, you've aware of the complaints that we received, the communications, and the recommendations we received from some community members. Is that
I
correct?
have a small amount of information. My understanding is that a community member was unhappy with the policy because they felt certain conduct should have been prescribed by this policy that wasn't. And what I can speak to about that is that this is a policy that really outlines the contours of Title IX. And so what happened is during the first Trump administration, the department of Education promulgated rules under Title IX that reflected a shift in terms of the definition of sexual harassment under Title IX. And one of the big changes is changing the word or to the word and, which looks small, but has, I'm sure as a policy committee, you understand what a big impact and changing an or to an and can have. And so the ramification of that change from or to and is that conduct under one of the definitions for sexual harassment needs to be severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive. And what we frequently run into is that you have conduct that might be severe, objectively offensive, but it happened one time. And if it's a quid pro quo and it happens one time, that counts. If it meets certain very specific statutes, such as stalking or domestic violence or sexual assault, that counts. But the definition that kind of encompasses the majority of situations that you see in a school is the one that requires it to be severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive. And so we see cases where that word and is the determiner of saying, well, this is inappropriate conduct, but it's not Title IX. And Title IX is very specific. You follow specific protocols, and under Title IX regulations, you cannot discipline someone for sexual harassment without a determination that they violated sexual harassment as defined within Title IX. However, you can discipline them for other things, such as making inappropriate comments or touching someone without their consent. And so, what you get into is you have to look in those situations for other code of conduct violations. But if you were to try to say, well, we want to go broader, we want to put more in our definition of sexual harassment, you would have a Title IX problem because now you're disciplining the accused person for sexual harassment when you haven't met the criteria under Title IX. So this this is something that changes with the political winds during the Biden administration. That and went back to an or, and then there was a court decision that struck down the Biden regulations, which then brought things back to the original 2020 rule, which put it back as an and. This and versus or thing is not accidental. It's not that, the Department of Education doesn't understand the import of that distinction. It's intentional, so we're not really free to change it. I think that was the crux of what I understood to be the concern from the community member. Again, we have other code of conduct provisions that we can and should utilize in those cases where someone has done something that is inappropriate but doesn't meet this Title IX definition.
All right. Well, thank you for that explanation. What I'd like to kind of get the sense of the committee, that community member also sent in about 4 or 5 recommendations, which I have not had a chance to really take a deep dive into. To see, we have about 11 or so policies, 11 policies and regulations that are all related underneath this initial banner. So my thought was to just kind of like take some time, not tonight, because that's a very deep dive. But at some point to schedule a meeting where we could maybe look at those recommendations and see if there are improvements that could be done, as to far as like how things, because to what I read, it seemed more like there were certain little procedures that were made the major hiccups that were the source of the complaint. Where it's like there's communication concerns and things like that. So I'm not sure exactly. Again, haven't had time to really do a deep dive and do a compare and contrast with like what we have established versus what he was recommending, and where those pieces would actually fit into the one of or a few of the 11 or so policies that we have. So I just want to kind of get a sense of the committee, if that's something that we'd like to take up at some point in the next month or two, to do maybe a special meeting where we're just looking at that and be able to handle it and either take action or not take action.
Can I just ask first, I'm unclear about the 11 policies that are under this policy.
Oh, well, there's like regulations, subsections. I don't know. A lot of it had to do with let me pull it up here. Like reporting and I don't know. Let's see here. So if we go to the student section. So if you look at 5145, down underneath that, we have seizure, no, two. All right, so well, you got regulation, basically a whole bunch of regulations. So maybe that's what I'm identifying is
Yeah.
Are you
all
referring to the regulations under the Title IX policy specifically?
yes, there's R4118 and R5145.5. Yeah, which
Right.
has like how things, the nuts and bolts of like how things are reported and communicated amongst
And
the.
that's really all, um, we can certainly look at it. There's again, very little wiggle room in that because there is a regulation under Title IX that specifies all of this. It tells districts very clearly what they need to do. This regulation is designed um, to really just put into, kind of this regulatory format for the district what is in the federal regulations. So there are a couple choices that the district gets to make. For example, they get to decide whether the burden of proof is preponderance of the evidence or clear and convincing evidence, but that is not something that so no, I'm sorry. My
Sorry.
Miriam Tobo, you need to leave right now. Mommy's on a meeting. Okay. Sorry. Um, when she couldn't come in during the first hour when I was muted. Um,
Perfect timing.
so when I lost my train of thought. For example, things like the burden of proof. And, in that case, every district is choosing um, preponderance of the evidence. That's the more complainant-friendly one anyway. That would probably be what this person would want. There's very limited choices. So, I'm happy to take a look at what he has said. I have not seen
Sure.
specifically what he has said. Um,
Mhm.
but we're basically just outlining the legal parameters. This isn't something we designed you
Got
know,
it.
from our
So
own choices.
thank you for that because that helps me clarify what I think could be a productive use of time. Um, and especially since, it's been, well established that, regulation is the purview of the administration to make adjustments. We can provide comment and maybe make a request, but we uh, don't necessarily command. Um, but maybe what we could do is package up the sections of the email that was sent that were the recommendations from the community member were provided and send that off to your office and have the office provided like a written response as to like could those changes be made in the regulation, and would they be recommended to be made?
Right. I was just going to say there's really going to be two responses. One is just would it violate the regulation to the federal regulation to make the change? And then secondly, we've been dealing with these regulations, for a little over 5 years now for multiple districts throughout the state. We have a pretty good sense of what works and what doesn't work at this point.
Right. Okay. So, would it be the consensus of the committee to make that request?
It
Um,
sounds to me like the law is the law. I mean, we could request,
well, I guess
but
what I'm asking is to have it explained in writing as to like, to have an official response from the board's
Hmm.
legal advisories to say like, okay, well, we hear your recommendations and here's how they match up with the regulations. Here's, what could be done, and then what is has proven to be best practice over the past 5 years in the experience, just to have an official response.
I'm
That
not in
that
favor.
was my interest.
I'm not
Could
in favor of that.
could I just ask a question? Could you give us an idea, Ian, the scope of the work you're proposing for the firm? I'm just wondering how many points of
Four recommendations,
recommendations that he'd
right? And
like
I
us to
don't
look
want to.
into?
Yes, I like. Well,
Because
that
I
that
haven't seen
email,
the email either.
that email that was sent to everybody a few months ago. I can send it back around. Um, but there was he after relating the whole situation, the email was summarized at the end with like four requests, possible recommendations that the community member was asking the board to look at as ways to maybe improve the communication process between complainants,
Okay.
respondents, and the
So
administrator.
there's 4 recommendations for communication.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
And
Thank
again,
you for clarifying.
yeah. So, I think it's just a matter like my interest is not to is just to basically like to honor the request of reviewing it and give it the due diligence to say that like and with a written explanation identifying the legal parameters like what can we do? I mean, it sounds to me like there are some very strict guardrails as far as the federal law is concerned under this particular thing. So if that's the case, then just to have that articulated so that you know we're showing that we're doing our due diligence to make sure that if there's any opportunity to improve that's legally permissible and might fall in line with best practices, um, that we're willing to consider it. But I don't know that I don't have the legal background, but we do have an office that does that. But we would have to I'd have to talk to Bev about this and see is that a thing that the whole board would have to vote on to make the request to the attorney's office? I don't, or can the committee ask for an legal opinion to see if there's something that we have to review?
May I suggest that the initial, if the board does choose to go this way, that the initial review product should be an attorney-client privileged memo to the Board of Education. And then if the board chooses to, have some further communication back to the individual, that would be decided separately.
Understood. Okay. I think that's a fair way to proceed.
I think so too. And I have two reservations. The first is, I mean, with all due respect, it's going to be a costly decision if we were to go that way. And secondly, I see it opening a door that, again, I've said this before about other issues that can't be closed. I mean, once we start doing this for one individual, that's going to happen over and over, and then it's going to be past practice. And I see us getting ourselves in a place where we are going to regret terribly. So I say that we don't even, the law is the law, and it's between, we have met with the attorney. She has experience that qualifies her and Mrs. I know, Floyd's wife. That will
Carolyn
go,
Dugas.
thank you. Um, you know, that we should trust what she has to say and know that the bottom line is the law is the law. And that's as far as I think we should go.
Right. Well, I guess what my concern is that I don't know if that if the attorneys have looked at those recommendations that came forward. I know that they were involved in handling the case, but as far as like the actual recommendations that came from the email, I don't know, Attorney Goldberg, if your firm has even seen those or had a chance to comment.
I have not, and obviously Carolyn's not there, so she is not. So, it might make sense just to at least let me see it. And if I am looking at it and I say, okay, this is someone whose complaint is with the law itself and not really with us, that's one approach. And if the answer is, actually he's got some really good suggestions here that can be done within, the parameters of the law. There's nothing saying we can't do that, then that could be up for consideration.
Okay.
And I don't think it has to be an extensive process either, because basically I'd be looking at a letter and saying, does, can this be done? Can it not be done? Do I think it's a good idea or do I not think it's a good idea? I don't envision that being a time-consuming process. I do hear the point about not wanting to open the floodgates, and that's certainly your judgment call to make. But in terms of just if they have input and we can look at it, um, I'm happy to do that if that's your choice.
I'm happy to take Attorney Goldberg's recommendation for looking at it. If you think that's the way to go, if that's your advice to us, then
Yeah.
I would listen to you.
I would say let me look at it and see what kind of response I believe it warrants, and then I can come back to you with a proposal as to how we move forward beyond that point. But right now, I'm speaking in the vacuum because I haven't seen the letter
Yes,
at all.
Understood.
but I'm glad that you understand about the floodgate too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to
Okay.
be fair, I do share that concern as well, Dr. Ackerman. I no doubt. Like we don't want to uh have to deal with anything that's not
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
things become flippant, and then just right. But in this case, the only reason I'm bringing this forward is because to me, I felt like there was a certain amount of gravity attached to this, and the recommendations were not like out of left field either,
Mhm.
in my opinion. But then again, I'm not trained in the law, so Sean, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that Rebecca made a good recommendation.
Okay. So if that's the
Good.
consensus of the committee, then I'll forward that email along, and we'll look forward to hearing back from
Yeah.
you.
Ian, do you mind copying Anne Marie and I as well?
Oh, by all means, I'll do the
Thank you.
full board and all the top admins, so that
Thank
everyone.
you. We appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
And
And
thank you, Attorney Goldberg.
Of
yeah,
course.
and I don't know if it's appropriate to copy the rest of the committee to Sean and me.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna like send do a BCC of the whole board so that the board's aware of the communication that's occurring and the requests that we're making, and so that they can be ready when the memo comes back as to like what the context is, and that
Okay.
we're getting like basically like a not a full-blown legal opinion, but a memo or a response from the attorney's office on the recommendations.
Right.
All right. Now Let me get back. Is that it for the agenda? Oh, future
Thank you.
meeting topics. Yes. All right. Um, thank you, Attorney Goldberg.
Ian, is it okay if we,
Yes.
right, thank you.
Yes, yeah, anyone that's not involved with future meeting topics and the adjournment can, you're free to leave. Thank
All
you.
right, I will
Thank
sign
you.
off. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Thank you
your time.
very much, both Denise and Attorney Goldberg.
Thank you. Have a good
Hello.
evening.
You
Good
too.
night.
Thank you, guys.
All right, future meeting topics. Anyone have anything bubbling up?
I want to look at, yeah, I think you and I had a conversation at one point. I want to look at um, the, I forget what it's called. Is it the draft? The kind of placement of students and into different schools. And like, I've heard from
Oh,
families that there's been
oh,
potential like
right.
favoritism around that. So I just wanted to see if that's a policy that we can review.
Policy for the lottery
Yeah.
determination in schools. All right, I'll take a look through the policies and see if there's something that speaks to that. And
Okay.
um, see if
So
I
I
can.
couldn't get the word to pop in my head.
That's all right.
Been a long day.
Yeah, yeah, and I almost had the hour meeting, but you know, we were fine going over because
Yeah.
that's important
It was an
stuff.
important discussion.
Agreed. Um, Dr. Ackman, any policies that you are bubbling up on? All right.
Oh,
Um,
I'll do the grammar thing.
Understood. So I have not done a deep dive on the operational review yet. I've done some surface level skims. Um, the chair did ask me to take a look back over the policy committee minutes over the past couple years to see how many policies we did with the ad hoc budget procedure committee. We did move forward a lot of recommendations that came through the policy committee. Um, and we did make a number of adjustments on a lot of the budget policies. However, I want to kind of square those up and Bev asked me to create like a report of what's been handled, what corresponds to what the operational review was recommending, and what have we already handled, and then also if there's anything that still has yet to be handled. And if there's anything in the operational review that was not on our radar already, and to put that on our radar. So, like I said, I haven't had a chance to do a deep dive on the operational review yet, but I will have some time over the next month or so. So future meeting topics, I think, is going to be um, basically squaring up what we've done to manage our budget better already and how that corresponds to the operational review. And if there's anything that we need to take direction from out of the operational review or that we may want to consider at least. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Any objections to?
No.
Okay. Very well then. All right. Well, if there's nothing further, Dr. Mancini, anything that come in from your department that you'd like us to take a look at?
Oh, you didn't have enough for me tonight?
Well, you didn't leave, so I figured I'd ask you.
Just trying to be polite.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time and appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Nothing
Ready?
further, Dr. Ackerman?
You
It is
ready
your-
for me? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
It was a great meeting. Thank you, Ian.
Good meeting.
Aye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Guys.
Appreciate
Yep.
y'all. All right. We are adjourned at 7:21.